And thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here. My name is Moacyr Araújo. I work for the Federal University of Pernambuco in Northeast Brazil, 8 South, really tropical area. And now I'm co-chair of the PIRATA program together with Bernard Borles, a French colleague. Unfortunately, Bernard cannot be here because he is now coordinating with the French PIRATA cruise in the eastern part of the Atlantic. PIRATA is an 18-year-old project sponsored, conceived, and funded by US, Brazil, and France. In US, you have NOAA. In Brazil, you have the Brazilian Institute for Space Research, the so-called INPE, and the Brazilian Navy. And in French, we have the Météo France, l'Institut de Recherche pour le Développement, and the French Institute for Overseas Research. So, some few words concerning scientific rationale. In fact, tropical Atlantic is a little bit more complex than tropical Pacific because in tropical Atlantic we have not only the zonal mode of variability, but we have also a strong meridional mode. These two modes of variability interact and give rise a set of nonlinear processes that drive the climate in tropical Atlantic. We are young. We are only 18 years old. We are living our teenagers coming to the adult phase. So this is the timeline of PIRATA project. We started with a very first 3 years of setup, very important in the beginning. And after that, we go to the pilot phase, what we call the pilot phase. In 2006, PIRATA was endorsed by WCRP, and we began our consolidation and sustaining phase. We signed 3 MOUs along these years. The last one we signed last year, and we are going to follow this until 2019. Okay. How we share the work in tropical Atlantic? Brazil is committed for recovering 8 buoys in the western boundaries. American colleagues, US colleagues are responsible for sensor calibrations and also for the northeast part of the array. And French colleagues are in charge of the eastern tropical Atlantic area, change 6 buoy. That's why Bernard cannot be here, because he's now changing some PIRATA buoys. Only for give an idea, about 1 year of work on the sea. Here we are showing in fact, that's the last year cruiser. Each country making his job. So we share in total about 100 and 120 days of ship time. This is a scheme about the PIRATA measurement. So we start with a physical only project. We are very interested about ocean atmosphere interactions. So in the atmosphere, we have in all sides measurement for long wave, short wave, pressure, wind, and precipitation. And in the first 500 meters depth, we have 11 temperature sensors, 5 salinity and pH meter spread in the buoys. But from 2006, we start with biogeochemistry. So it's a very good news. We start with biogeochemistry. We start with some sensor for carbon dioxide and for oxygen and in some specific sites. And last year, we had also the Canadians. So welcome Fred with the OTN in all the buoys. And the ship pod for turbulence is a very open question for modeling, and also some pH meters. And this year we are doing now measurement concerning dust aerosols with the people from MPI, from Max Planck colleagues, German colleagues, and also Greg from NOAA. Yes. We hope to have additional sensors as part of the Atlantos and Martin. So here we may find the data return. which is very, very important. We have a very good data return. What we measure in what we receive as feedback, we have a globally 8% of data return, which is very significant. And this is the time evolution. One very important thing is that the PIRATA, since the beginning, adopted a fully open data policy. So anybody, anywhere, anytime may have access to PIRATA data almost online. It's very, very important for the success of the program. It seems that not only whales and dolphins love PIRATA lines, but another species of mammals, like scientists, for example, love it. So here you have the downloads of PIRATA data. We are almost 1 million data files downloaded from the scientific community, with very significant concerning scientific production, as we may see here in the number of scientific papers that you are producing along the PIRATA life. So almost an exponential growth, so it is really very, very good. I'd like to show you some few examples of PIRATA data useful, how useful it is. Here concerning weather forecast, so you are able to look at the sea 3, 2, 3, 4 months before and have an idea, a good correlation about the rainfall, extreme rainfall in both cities in Northeast Brazil, as for example Fortaleza and Recife. So this is the case of Fortaleza. So if you look some specific buoys in the tropical Atlantic, we are able to forecast events of extreme rainfall rates. That's the same for Recife, for different areas, for different buoys, different sites, but if you look at the anomalies, we are able to infer about rainfall events. The second example comes from coral reef blanching. So you look at the history of the SST anomaly, we are able also to not prevent, but to understand and to correlate with the strength of coral reef blanches. So we have some example of good correlation. It's very significant, mainly during MODOC, non-canonical MODOC El Niño events in Pacific. So the third example comes from tropical disease. You should look at the ocean, and you should be able to use the ocean not only for climate, but also for direct some public health policies. That's what we do. In fact, we know that we have a strong correlation between SST and between rain in SST, and we have also good correlation between tropical disease. Here, for example, is for dengue case in Brazil, in Recife. And rainfall. So why don't you look at the ocean directly? So we are able to have and to save time. Now you have good correlation. We see the ocean and we have 40, 50 days before, and we have good correlation with what is going on concerning tropical disease. And this is a very good example of how can we use PIRATA buoys for society. So I'd like to finish with some concluding remarks. First of all, PIRATA is really a very important and useful network for observing tropical Atlantic. It's a very good example of multilateral, long-term multilateral cooperation. And I would like to stress what I mean, PIRATA treasures. The first one is the high level of commitment. The second is the PIRATA is really a science-oriented project. We have a steering scientific committee that works on that. Cannot forget the open data policy I have mentioned, that is very, very important as well. And we have also what I call the tete-a-tete approach, that we have regular meetings for organizing, for evaluate what we did, and for organizing, for planning the next year. So here we have the last 3 meetings, 2012 in Kiel, with Guilmar people, colleagues. 2013 in Venice. And last year we had a very, very nice meeting, about 100 scientists in Porto de Galinhas, south of Brazil. And normally we have PIRATA with tropical Atlantic variability panel together. And in Porto de Galinha, we put together also the people from ocean sites and the Brazil-EU dialogues on marine research. Yes, it was a very, very good week that we have in Porto de Galinhas. So thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, please don't hesitate.